Welcome to SurfacePro3TechReviews.com. I'm Neil, and today I'll be reviewing the Manvex leather cover for the Microsoft Surface Pro 3. Today's lineup will include a product description, a brief video walkthrough where I'll show you how this cover functions, followed by a short word from my sponsors, then my likes and dislikes, and finally the bottom line. Basically what I recommend for other people to buy this cover after having had it now for about 7 months. I hope this review will help you shop smarter for your Surface Pro 3. So stay tuned and I'll be right back with the product description. Welcome back. As I mentioned before, I bought this cover about 7 months ago and I used Amazon to get it. Basically any kind of purchases like that, I like using Amazon because the reviews from other people are so helpful, and that's actually one of the reasons that motivated me to do these sort of reviews. I know the input from other people has saved me a lot of money, and from wasting it on junk. So hopefully these videos will be just as valuable to you. Right now Amazon is selling this cover as of March 22nd, 2015, which is today, for $27.95. I think I paid about $30-something, if I'm not mistaken. Also, I looked at the one that's on there now, and it looks slightly different than the one that I have. So just double check it when you if you go to make a purchase of this. Okay. On Amazon, it's listed with 4.4 stars out of 5, and that's from 1,281 reviews. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And that was actually one of the reasons that influenced me to purchase it in the beginning, was all the positive reviews. It weighs 12.8 ounces. It's available in 6 colors: black, blue, brown, red, pink and white, and pink. There are vents for heat dissipation, and I'll just show you in the video walkthrough. You'll be able to see this better, but just so you could see the vent holes right now, there they are. Alright, and some of this information too I pulled from the Amazon website, and I also went straight to manvex.com just to kind of give you a good description of how they would try and sell this product. Okay, just to help you make I know you can find all this stuff on your own, but I figured it would be helpful to have it all in one spot. They say access to all ports with multiple viewing angles. Easily store your notes or contact cards with the custom laser cut card holders. Now that's something new, because if you look on the picture of the ones that they have, when you open it up, there are little card holders in here. Mine doesn't have that. I guess maybe that's something they added. I don't know. And finally they say this case is compatible to use with the Microsoft Type keyboard, the touch keyboard, and without any keyboard at all. And with all of those, except for the contact card holders, I'll be able to show you how they work, how they function, and whether I think the design is good or bad. So up next is my video walkthrough, so you get an idea of how this cover functions with the Surface. Let's begin. Okay, so here we're looking at the front. Let me give you a quick view of all angles before I even put my Surface in, just so you get an idea of what it looks. You see the vent holes that I mentioned in the product description, and you notice the stitching, which I really like. I think they did a nice job with that. You'll notice mine's a little dirty, and again, I take this thing back and forth to work with me every day, and it does a really good job. Inside, I open the cover and you can see how it holds it. Now I'll put my Surface in. you see this, it fits right in this little sleeve here. So you put it in there, slide it in. Here's a little tip too. Don't just fold this over and attach it like this, because it might be a little loose. So in order to make sure that you get the best or the most snuggest fit, I recommend pushing it in, and then you can kind of get it a nice tight fit like that. Okay? And there we have it. We got our surface in there. I got my screen on lock, so that's why it's not jumping around. But you see how it holds very nice. And one thing that's nice about it is you really can angle this thing many different ways. You know, some cases that I saw, you're locked pretty much in maybe 2 or 3. This one, I mean, you could say it's almost infinite. Okay? And that's with or without the tight cover. And say this, I'm in tablet mode, and say I want to fold it back, I can do that as well. Alright, and it holds it nice, it's secure, does a good job, I think. And this one, you'll notice I have this, there's an elastic band on the back. And with that, you can even put this over the flap so it's not hanging around on you. And another question people frequently ask is, does it have a magnetic snap? Yes, it does. See that? So, and that's pretty good. It's not strong enough to turn it off like it would with the keyboard on, but it does keep it from opening and bouncing around on you. So that's very good. Now I'll show you what it looks like with the keyboard attached. Like that. There we go. And again, you can move it around. Can you tilt it up? Yes, you can. Some people, that was another frequently asked question. So you can still use that. It'll still get the magnetic connection to hold your keyboard up on a slant, which is nice. And when you close it, holds it in there very well. Okay, here's the front, and you see it's got a small little holder for your pen. Put that in there, you can see how that works. Okay, that way you don't lose it. I know me, I would lose it if I didn't have it attached somewhere. And this is actually one thing that I don't like, is the way this is designed is, number one, it allows it to move around, and so when you put it on a table, your pen actually hits the table, and I don't like that. And because of that, on my pen, you can actually see some of the wear that is put. You may not see it on camera, but it started scratching the pen, which is not good. I think they could either you know, make it longer, or make something, a sleeve that kind of protects the tip, or even kind of make the case, the cover or the backing there, extend over a little bit so the pen would, you know, it would hide within the cover. I think that would be a better design, but that's just my opinion. One more thing so I don't forget, but this elastic piece on the back, you can even take it and bring it around the front. So not only can you use it to hold the cover in the back when you use it like a tablet, but even when walking around, you can use it to ensure a more secure close. So it's not popping open on you when you're moving it around or putting it in and out of your bag or whatever. And that concludes this little video walkthrough. I hope it helped. So stay tuned. We'll have a brief message from my sponsor, and then I'll be back to share with you my likes and dislikes about this cover. And then finally, the bottom line. So stay tuned and I'll be right back. So I'll begin with my likes. And there's three things that I guess I would highlight most. The first thing that I really like is the protection it offers around the corners. You will see that there's actually a good slight overlap that's around all the corners, and which is really helpful. If this should fall, it's got something to hit first other than the device itself. And I gotta say, actually, that's really helpful, because on my way back from work one day, I was getting out of my car and I had this tucked under my arm and I dropped it, and it landed partially on my foot and partially on the concrete, and thank God my surface didn't break. It didn't do anything at all. So very good protection. And I mean, as I get into the bottom line in the next segment, that's actually one of the main things the cover is for. You know, style and all that other stuff is secondary, but the first thing is, will it protect my computer? And I can actually say from experience, this thing did a really good job. The second thing that I like is the way it folds back when you want to use it as a tablet, and even using this to help lock it. To me, that's really useful, because I use it as a tablet often like that, and whether it's to write or whatever. So that's just really useful for me. And third is, there's really good access to all the ports. You know, so you're not having to, I'm not having to take this in and out to, say, hook up the USB port or the micro, the mini display port. The micro SD card that's in the back, that is something that you would have to take your Surface out to access it. But, you know, that's not really a big deal. I actually do have an SD card in there, and I just leave it in there. So it's not really something that I have to take in and out very often. Now for my dislikes. I've got 4 of them. The first is, as I mentioned before, this pen holder being so flimsy, and it allows your pen to get knocked around and scuffed. I would love it if they would rather make a sleeve for it, or even extend the covers, make them a little longer, so that the pen would hide in the recess of the cover and be protected. So that's one. The second is, because of the material on the top here, when you go to swipe down to close a program, this can actually get in the way sometimes. So if you just come here and you go to swipe down, it won't always close on you, and you'll have to kind of push up a little bit to get more on the top of the screen, and then come to pull down, and which is no big deal, and but it's just something to be aware of. And me, actually, I'm running the Windows 10 technical preview, and you see that they actually have kind of addressed that issue, where I actually have the X in the top corner, so I don't even need to swipe down anymore. That stuff is, you could put it in tablet mode and still do that, but for me, I don't really like doing the whole swipe down thing. To me, it's much easier to just tap the X and be done with it. I'm actually really glad Microsoft did that, because that works much better for me. My third dislike is, when it comes to the vent covers, the vent holes, I think they could have made it a little bit less restrictive, you know, to let more airflow out of the machine, especially this area. And you can see, I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but there's your opening for the camera. But your top right of the surface is what really needs to remain cool. And if you have overheating issues, it's this area that needs to be free to get cooled on. And you see they just got all this extra material here, and that just makes it all the more difficult, you know. And you know, if they just had a couple strips here, I mean, it's not going anywhere. And that was my third dislike. And finally, my last one was PU leather. This isn't genuine leather. This is PU leather. And I looked it up online what that meant, and basically it's a man-made synthetic leather that's a cheaper alternative. And while I know, you know, genuine leather would make it more expensive, but I know for me anyway, when I looked at the title and saw Manvex leather cover for Surface Pro 3, so on, I didn't see anything about PU leather, or didn't even know what that was anyway. So, you know, to me that's just a little underhanded, but I know that's not just with this either. That's with a lot of stuff that says leather when really it's not leather, genuine leather anyway. But overall, it does do a good job of protecting it, and it is good to make it a little less expensive, which is good in and of itself. It's just me, I would have rather have known ahead of time rather than after having purchased it and then finding out. And actually, I didn't even find that out until I made this video exactly about the PU leather. I knew right away that it was a little different, but even with that said, I don't want to give the wrong idea that it feels cheap or anything, because I don't feel that at all. It actually does just fine. But that's my in my dislike list. I do have to include that in there. And so that's my 4 dislikes. And let's conclude this and wrap this up with the bottom line. So while there's a few things that I don't like about this cover, there's a lot of things that I do like. And first, the protection. I tell you, when I dropped my Surface coming out the car, and it still worked, yeah, that made every, you know, it was worth the $30 or $40 I originally spent to buy it. And thank God too, because the last thing you're gonna want, no matter how stylish a case looks, if it doesn't protect your Surface, it's worthless to me anyway. It's a good value. You know, I see a lot of other cases out there that are, you know, 50, 60, even more, some of them. And so for the money, this is a good value. The good viewing angles, I like that too, how you can adjust it to what angle you like that suits you best. And I even put it on my lap and use it like I would a laptop. And even though it's not as stable as a laptop would be, but it does work very well in that too. And actually, I think it works better. The Surface is more stable by using the cover to rest it on your lap than just with the kickstand. So I think that helps out too. And the bottom line, 4 out of 5 stars. And would I recommend it? Absolutely. Well, I hope this video will help you shop smarter for your Surface. And please share it with others. Give it a thumbs up. And if there's a question that you have that I didn't cover, feel free to leave a comment, and I will try to answer everyone. Thank you, and God bless you. Welcome to Surface Pro 3 TechReviews.com. I'm Neil, and today I'll be what? I licked my lips. Welcome to Surface Pro 3 Reviews.